Welcome back. Today I want to share with you a recipe that is as delicious as it is deliciously wonderful for you. It's an ancient Ayurvedic recipe for golden milk. Golden milk is one of those fantastic recipes that just soothes whatever ails you. It has coconut milk, ghee, turmeric, ginger, a little bit of black pepper, and raw honey. This is a really simple recipe. It just consists of pulverizing fresh turmeric root and ginger with some black pepper. Heat your coconut water and your coconut milk in a pan. Add your pulverized roots and steep for 5 or 6 minutes. Add some raw honey and drink it down. First, let's talk ingredients. This is turmeric. It's a root that's bright orange, and it's used heavily in Indian cuisine, but it's not very common here in the West. What is common is ginger, another root that also has medicinal properties. Together, delicious. So turmeric, fresh turmeric, might not be something you guys are familiar with, but you're most likely familiar with it in its dried and powdered form. Dried turmeric can be used in this recipe just as well, and you will get all of the wonderful properties of turmeric, of fresh turmeric, in the dried. Maybe not quite as much, but it's really good for you. This recipe comes from Jennifer McGruthers. She is the blogger at Nourished Kitchen, and I'll put a link to that as well as this recipe below this video. If you click show more, you'll see the whole thing. Nourished Kitchen has a fantastic approach to food. It's nutrition as medicine, and Jennifer's blog is really fantastic. Her recipes are wonderful. So the original recipe is from her site. My own twist is adding black pepper. Now, let's get into the health benefits of turmeric, and then I'll explain why the black pepper. This week, I went to see a naturopathic physician by the name of Noel Peterson. He works out of Lake Oswego in Oregon. And we were talking about the health benefits of curcumin. Now, curcumin is the main ingredient, the pigment ingredient in turmeric that gives it that bright, beautiful orange color. It's also one of the best anti-inflammatory compounds known. So this little root is just a super incredible medicine for you. The problems with curcumin is that it's not easily absorbed into the body, and it's not very bioavailable. Now, Dr. Noel was talking about a study where they took over-the-counter curcumin tablets and dosed them from 1 tablet up to 20. Some people had to take 20 tablets before it was even detectable in the smallest amounts in their blood. So there's an uptake problem with curcumin. It's not water soluble unless you buy a laboratory variety that is water soluble. And there's a couple labs that actually make a highly bioavailable curcumin, and I'll go ahead and put those links below this too for those of you who are interested. Anyway, it's fat soluble. So in order to get some of the benefits, you must take it with something that is fatty. So this is the perfect drink. You have the fat in the coconut milk. You have the fat in the ghee. Where'd my ghee go? In the ghee. And you have that beautiful fresh curcumin in the turmeric. After leaving Dr. Noel's office, I did a couple days of research on curcumin. Curcumin plays an important role in the treatment and prevention of pro-inflammatory chronic diseases such as metabolic disease, autoimmune diseases, malignant diseases, cardiovascular, and neurodegeneration. So there's all sorts of ways that scientists have tried to administer curcumin to see if its efficacy could be increased. Nasal sprays, subcutaneous, interperitoneal, oral. What some of the studies have found is really interesting. If you take turmeric with piperine, which is the active ingredient in just plain old black pepper, the piperine makes curcumin 2,000 times more bioavailable. So, if you're going to eat turmeric in anything, crunch on some black peppercorns or just pepper whatever dish you're making with it. So if curcumin is this magic elixir, why haven't we heard of this before now? Well, I found an interesting compilation that looked at the bioavailability specifically, and it compiled a lot of the research. This was in the journal NCBI, and this is a direct quote. In spite of its efficacy and safety, curcumin has not been approved as a therapeutic agent, in part, perhaps, because of a lack of intellectual rights to it. Can't patent nature. So, this thing is sitting there quietly in the Asian market stores. There's no lobby group, there's no big pharma behind it. Nobody has bought the intellectual property rights to it. It's just one of those beautiful foods that's available to all of us. So, inflammation is something we all need to reduce. So why not add something to your diet that is anti-inflammatory naturally? Let's get started. Coconut milk. This is coconut milk, and it's very thick. It has cream to about half of the can, maybe a little more, and then there's kind of a clear liquid. This is wonderful, and this is where all the good fat is. This is coconut water. This is the clear liquid inside that is not ground up meat. This is ground up coconut meat. Both of these together will balance each other out. Now, if you want to go super authentico and you can get a coconut, the full, ripe, mature coconuts, dump the whole thing in the blender, add like a cup of water, blend it, strain out that pulp, and that's your coconut milk. And that's the best way to go. But this is something I always have on hand as a backup. So let's do this. I'm just going to chop this roughly because we're going to put it in our mortar and pestle and kind of pulverize it a little more. And you want an inch of ginger. I kind of like a little extra ginger. We're going to strain this out, so don't worry about peels or anything like that. Add your pepper and just give it a good smashing. Okay, add your pulverized goodies to your pan. Because this little mortar has all the good essence of ginger and turmeric, I don't want to leave that in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and just rinse it out with my coconut water. Add in a little ghee. And for those of you that have been following the channel, you know what ghee is and you know how to make it. For the rest of you, I'll go ahead and put the link right up here. Ghee is basically clarified butter that has had all of the milk solids removed, and it's been kind of caramelized. So you can cook on really high heat with it, like something around 500, without it burning, because the milk solids are what burns in butter. And it's also shelf stable, so you can leave it on the counter for months, but it never lasts that long for me. I go through maybe 2 pounds every couple weeks. It's fantastic stuff. I also like to add just a teeny pinch of salt, because salt brings out the natural flavors in food. So here is our yumminess. I'm going to cook this over a medium flame just until you start to see little bubbles around the edge. At that point, I'm going to put a lid on it, turn it down to low, and let it simmer for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. cut the heat and give it another 4 or 5 minutes and then strain it into our cup, and that's it. That's it, golden milk. If you guys are inspired by this, I love to see your photos. I love to hear your responses. I love to hear your successes when you make a dish. So I've gone ahead and set up an Instagram account where you guys can put your photos up and I get to see them, because for me it's the ultimate reward and I'm very proud of you. So I love seeing those. If you guys are all Instagrammers, I'm on there now. But I hope you enjoy this wonderful, wonderful old world remedy for all that ails you, and just a very good preventative.